And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another YouTube video, and today I'm going to do something I haven't done in a couple of years. I'm going to do a room tour. This is my second ever room tour video. The last one I did I think was in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, and quite a lot has changed since then. We'll dive into it in just a second, but two things you need to know first before you watch the rest of the video. Firstly, this is one single video. The last time I did a room tour, I did a series of 12 videos, and I spent quite a while diving deep into all my comics and just generally sort of wandering around my library and talking it through. I'm not going to do that this time just because it's quite a lot of effort and I'm not sure it got enough views to really warrant it. The second reason that I'm not doing that is also the second point I want to bring up, which is I'm having a few health problems, a few mobility issues and so on, which means it's a little bit difficult for me to move around fluidly and especially holding a camera up because that's how I'm currently filming this using a smartphone camera. And so the video you're about to see is a little bit shaky at points. I do my best. I'm going to try to edit out the shakes, but if you find shaky cam annoying, then don't watch this video. If you do watch it, then you've been warned, basically. I will hopefully one day have a gimbal and a kind of a setup to do a much more steady cam sort of library tour, but right now I don't have the sort of money to do that. The channel itself doesn't bring in any kind of money because it's not monetized. And this is something that I'm doing as much for insurance purposes and as much to audit and show what I have in my collection in case anything happens to it as for anything else. So with that out of the way, as long as you're okay with the shaky cam, as long as you don't mind what's going to be a relatively long 30 or 40-minute video, let's dive straight into it.
And here we go. Let's head in. All right. Here we have it, everybody. This is the library. This is meant to be a spare bedroom in my house, but because I don't have any friends, I don't have anyone that's going to really come over on a regular basis, that's the last thing I want to do. Why would I have a room in my house that I use maybe once or twice a year? If anyone I know wants to come over and they don't actually live in this city and they need to stay over, I will pay for a hotel. I'd rather pay $100 or £100 once a year rather than not have this room and just have it sitting there with a spare bed and a spare wardrobe empty for an entire year. I don't understand why people do that, but each to their own. So this is it. We're going to walk around it. We're going to have a look. As I said, I'm going to keep it relatively brief. I'm going to try to keep it relatively steady. So let's start off. Well, this is the doorway. I've got a little Borderlands mask which I bought stuck right here. It's still in the plastic, partly because I haven't really had a cause to wear it, but also it gives it kind of a weird cel-shaded kind of feel, I think. There's a bookshelf here. We're going to largely ignore this because it's just full of rubbish. The only thing that's notable in this is I've moved my Batman That Laughs small statue in here. Not an ideal location for it. It's a bit dark, but I might sort out some lights for that at some point. Up here we have a Bat Family diorama. This was quite expensive. I bought this to cheer myself up while suffering from depression, and I really enjoy it. I really like it. There's a lot of videos on YouTube of this Bat Family diorama, so if you want a YouTube video on that, I'm sure you can find one somewhere. Right, let's have a look here. This 6-shelf beast over here is my DC book so far. The way I store things is largely in chronological order of how they were published or should be read, basically. So we're starting off with Batman No Man's Land. We've got JLA, and that's my custom 1 million Omni. We've got Teen Titans, Gotham Central, some more JLA, my custom Gotham City Sirens, Blackest Night and Brightest Day, which I'm about to read. Some more stuff getting into Flash and Flashpoint. And then we dive into New 52. And of course I have my New 52 guide on the channel, which is a 31 video series. Moving on down, we have more New 52, more New 52, all the way there. And then we have the New 52 Omnis. And then we have DC Rebirth, which is pretty good as well. Haven't started reading it really, but there we are. And then we go here into more DC Rebirth, Justice League, Super Sons Omni, moving into the Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight Death Metal bits and pieces. My omnibus hasn't turned up yet because this is currently January 2023. But I did recently pick up all the trade paperbacks for DC Dark Knight's Death Metal. Got a couple of hard covers there, just kind of inching their way into the Infinite Frontier continuity reboot. And then we've got some out of continuity stuff. We've got the Batman Arkham games at Omni, and then we've got some unwrapped hardcovers there. Under this, I basically got my video game guides. I use these sometimes. I play a lot of video games, as we'll touch on in a second. I don't really talk about it much on the channel. But I've got my video game guides here. I generally only pick them up if they're deluxe editions or hardcovers or things like that. But I've got all those here. Let's zip around for a second, because it continues smoothly on here. And again, bottom shelf. For some reason I had to keep all these in the bottom shelf. And yeah, some of them are really nice coffee table type books. So that's what we have here. On that note, let me stand up and let's have a look at this full shelf. So this is largely my Marvel shelf. We've got Marvel oversized hardcovers, which are actually my preferred format over Omnibus, ideally. Wolverine, Punisher, Daredevil. I'm missing one of the Punisher ones, annoyingly. Some more Daredevil, Runaways, Powers as hardcovers. A few standard one-offs. And then we dive into the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Again, these are kept in roughly chronological order. This top shelf here is the first phase of the Ultimate Universe. And then we move down, which I'll just do now. Moving down, we have the later stage of the X-Men, the Ultimate Universe, with the various kind of miniseries, reboots, renumberings, and so on, which are all here. I've just got an art book there, then we've got some Miles Morales. Under this, I've been getting quite into Empowered by Adam Warren. So I've got Empowered there, which is the closest thing to manga in my collection, really. Here are my books. So this is No Gods or Kings, written by me. And then here is the Hoxpox era, so starting off with House of X, and then we've got the various Dawn of X comics and so on. Moving down, just a few things here. Supreme Power, a couple of video game guides, and the Anita Blake series. Quite a lot of room to grow, as you can see, which is nice. And what I'll do now is let's pan back a bit and look at the stuff in between these two shelves. Okay, I'm going to keep this brief. This is the Xbox One and PS4 shelves. We've got my Xbox One games here, of which there are lots and lots and lots of them, as you can see. And then next to them we have my PS4 games, of which similarly there are many, many, many of these. Like I say, it's not really much of a video game channel, so I'm not going to dwell on any of these things. I will, however, point out that I have got some other small bits and pieces that are probably worth keeping an eye on. In particular, I've got my PS Vita games here, which I'm very proud of. I've got my PSP games here, which I'm very proud of. And then down at the bottom here, I have my Switch collection. So I have all these, and I have all these, and I have all these. Cool. So that was that bit. That's all these shelves here. A lot of DC, a lot of Marvel, a lot of video games. Let's move over here. We've got some pictures in between these shelves, which is my Afro Samurai collection. You get these free with the deluxe edition of the DVD set, so I framed those and put those up because I love Afro Samurai. What do we have here? We have my Civil War box set. Then we have a few statues. So starting off, we've got Batwoman from the DC Bombshell collection. There's a couple of other bombshells that I wanted to pick up, but they're all incredibly hard to get hold of and very expensive. So far I only have Batwoman. I really want to get hold of Catwoman and Black Canary out of that whole range. We then have Red Monica. If anyone's ever read Battle Chasers by Joe Madeira, she's the main character in that. Love this. Absolutely love this statue. Again, there's lots of videos on YouTube, no doubt, of people doing unboxings of this. And then we have one of my favourite pieces of all, Supergirl. Huge Supergirl fan. Supergirl by Mike Turner. This is from the Mike Turner era, and I absolutely love this. Alright, let's see what we have here. For those of you that watched my previous video, you will know that I used to collect all my Absolute Editions just single stacked here. Well, unfortunately, we are now in the era of double stacking. So I have loads of independent, I say Image and various other labels, trade paperback collections there. There's nothing double stacked there. This is the back of my Sin City volumes, which we'll look at in just a second. And then here I've got all my Top Cow, all stacked up with loads of single issues there as well. Let's move down a moment. We've got my Injustice, we've got my DC Earth 1, we've got a bunch of other DC trades and standard size hardcovers. Over here we have my Wildstorm and a couple of my Spawn compendiums. And over here we have random Marvel trades and standard size hardcovers. I've also double stacked down here. We've got Deceased, Crossed, and again a bunch of independent makes and a lot of Image comics as well. So stuff like Jupiter's Legacy, Sunstone, Swing, stuff like that. Over here, kind of a bit of an odd grab bag of stuff. We've got some Michael Turner, we've got some Witchblade, we've got some PS238, and we've got a few other sort of one-offs and bits and pieces. Alright. Okay, so that was that side of this bookshelf. Let's walk around it. You were invited to the wedding of Sleater and Bruce. I can't wait to read that when I get to DC Rebirth. So this is the other side. This is the double stacking with the Absolute editions. Let's go through this. So to start off with, we have Dark Knight Master Race 3. This isn't the Absolute edition. I was planning on getting the Absolute edition, but I did a video a few months ago on DC Year 1, and when I did, I just kind of realised as I was talking about it that I'd really prefer to have the DK3 series in these individual 8 or 9 hardcover issues, which is what I have in that big box set. Then we have the Irredeemable and Incorruptible series. Those are all custom bound, borrowing the first volume, so I made those myself. We have my Sin City Deluxe custom slipcases, which I'm very proud of. Got a series of Absolute editions here, a few oversized books and bits and pieces. Don't ask why that one's sticking out, I can't remember, but there's some reason for it. We have Absolute Authority, Absolute Planetary, Batman and Robin, Justice League, Absolute Scarlet, a whole bunch of stuff there. I've got a custom Supergirl volume that I made. Down here, we've got Absolute Chew, Absolute Multiversity, I think there, Kingdom Come, Infinite Crisis, Low. And down here we have The Boys, the definitive edition. I need to do a video on this at some point. If I had any idea how to gain the YouTube algorithm, what I would probably do is do that video just before season 4 comes out on Amazon Prime. I'll get around to it at some point though. I'll probably just drop it in the next few months randomly and it'll get no traction and no one will watch it, but who cares? I'll do it anyway. Empty Cube. Going up, we have Elephant Men, a dramatically underrated, overlooked series, which I'm going to do an overview video of at some point. I want to reread them all though, but I absolutely love this series. It fills this entire cube and they're brilliant. Okay, give me a second. And we're back. I'll tell you one thing, mobility issues are the worst. Right, so, Walking Dead, I've got volumes 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 and 8, meaning that I need volumes 4 and 6 to have the full series. And so in between them I've just shoved in the End League and Anatomy of a Superhuman. I think I need to do like an overview of Anatomy of a Superhuman on my series at some point. I should probably do that. Moving over here, we've got Transmetropolitan 1, 2 and 3. We've also got some Street Fighter hardcover, and we've got some Spawn Absolutes. I've got 3 and 4. Those are original printings, and I just got number 5 in the post literally last week. I'm stoked that they're reprinting these Absolute editions, but I'm very annoyed that in the UK, Amazon doesn't appear to be listing them. So volumes 1 and 2, I've no idea how I'm going to get hold of them, which is kind of frustrating. Let's move down. We've got some Image Deluxes. So we've got Ultra, we've got basically Luna Brothers medley, Absolute Justice, Dark Knight. There's Battle Chasers. We've got some video game stuff like Anthem. Moving over here is my Invincible cube, with the Invincible Absolutes and the Invincible hardcover editions as well. And then just below that, we've got a load of video game artwork, hardcovers, art books, and the like. Alright, let me just get back on my feet. And we're back. Okay, cool. What do we have here? We have an image of Spider-Woman by Mike Turner. This isn't an original print, but it is really cool. Okay, just talking about this briefly, This is my video game setup. These are all my video games and all my consoles. I made this myself out of leftover laminate flooring when I got my floor redone last year. I'm not blind. I am conscious that the shelves are slightly curved and buckling, but at the same time, they've been like this for 2 years and they haven't broken. I made all this out of just leftover bits of furniture I had lying around. So what we have at the top are my Nintendo DS and handheld games, Game Boy games, a couple of PS1 games, PS3 games below that, Xbox games below that, PS2 games below that, Xbox 360 games, or 2 loads thereof, and down here we have my Wii and Wii U games. You will note that I made little stands for my various handheld consoles. We've got my PS Vita there, we've got my PSP up there, this is my Nintendo DS, and down here we have my Game Boy Advance. Let's see. Oh, and here's a gap for my Nintendo Switch, which is currently sitting on my couch in my living room. Down here we've got a load of console related stuff. I basically started getting into video game emulation in a big way. So I've been learning how to hack and install emulated games on a variety of different handhelds. I just successfully hacked a PS Vita and a TV Android box. I'm planning on hacking my Wii U so we can play arcade games, etc, etc. So I've got like a whole bunch of random stuff here, which I'm not going to bore anyone with. And here are my various games, and like a box is full of other game related stuff. From what I gather, no one on my channel really cares a huge amount about video games, so I'm not going to dwell on this. Alright, so that was the video game bit. Let's move over here. I know some people are quite curious about this. This is my Valiant shelves. So obviously I'm doing a long-standing series called Valiant Until the Last. I've been dropping one video every single Monday for, God, since about May, April, about 8 months now I've been going through all my Valiant Deluxe editions one at a time. For anyone that remembers what this used to look like, the sequence of this used to be very different on my shelf, but now that I'm reading them, I have an idea of the actual correct reading order to keep them in. You'll notice there's a couple of black ones with no dust jackets. Those are custom bound ones that I made. So after all these, after Imperium, I've got the Life and Death of Toyo Harada. I made Faith Volume 2. After Secret Weapons, I think I did Harbinger. What did I do? No, I did Generation Zero and Harbinger Renegade, I think. And then over here, I did Unity Volume 2 as well. I haven't done an overview of any of those on my channel, because I don't know if anyone cares. But if you do care, let me know, and I'll do an overview of those customs and what's in them if you like. But these are the rest of my hardcovers. I've read all these up until there, and I've read quite a lot of these, to be fair, as well. And then there's a whole load more to read there. Got some more comics here. We've got a lot of Image stuff. Rising Stars, highly recommended. Bomb Queen, I picked up one volume, I want to pick up a few others. And Lady Mechanica art books. Down here we've got books with no pictures in them, all words, so let's just skip that. God, who would read that? Then I've got East of West, Sunstone hardcovers. Annoyingly, I've got the older Sunstone hardcovers. I'm hoping to get the new versions with the dust jackets, then I'll probably give these two away on my channel. Bunch of other stuff there, including Lady Mechanica. I'm going to drop down really briefly. And what we have down here are just more books. Books without pictures. I read a lot of prose, but I'm not going to get into that. And then more video game stuff. Again, I'm not going to get into that. Let's move over to our right. DVDs, South Park, Battlestar Galactica, The Newsroom. Here's some more artwork. This is kind of comic-y related. We've got the Boondocks at the very least. So the Boondocks is a comic strip which if you haven't read, you really should. It's excellent. Other than that, a bunch of other things which I don't think anyone here will care about. And then moving up, we've got some art books. We have a Xenoscope art book, and then we also have, just here, a Michael Turner Gallery edition with its own slipcase that I had made. That is literally my prized possession out of every single comic that I own. It's the best story, best artwork. It's amazing. It had a massively impactful effect on my life, and I love it. Moving up, we have another Art of Xenoscope, which I've kept in the box, so the box is kind of cool. And then we've got some emulation related stuff up there. Let's move to our right. Okay, so this is Marvel, but this is more Marvel in continuity stuff. Ooh, give me a second, I'm just going to rest my arms. And we're back. Sorry about that. This is how I keep my comics on my shelf, not in alphabetical order. I know this is going to drive people absolutely batty. So, starts off with X-Men Legion Quest. I'd like to have a few more omnibuses before that. I actually, for me, my Marvel era kind of starts with Bishop's Crossing and kind of X-Men 285 onwards. So I'd love to have Bishop's Crossing moving into Fatal Attractions, moving into Bloodlines, etc. So I think there's a few Phalanx Covenant, for example. So there's a few omnibus reprints I'm really hoping for, and once I get those, I'll put those here. But then we have Legion Quest, Age of Apocalypse, moving into Onslaught. I've got my custom bound Heroes Reborn, which don't necessarily look quite as good as the official one that they released a few years after this, but they do contain the lost issue 13s for each of the series. I've got my custom bound Hulk, Inhumans, New X-Men, more X-Force. And as you can see, this kind of moves chronologically because we're then moving into Secret Wars, the Bendis Avengers era. I don't really worry about how messy all these spines look. What I'm keen on doing is having them in a roughly coherent order, so I could say to someone, yeah, just start at the left and work your way through and you'll roughly be okay. That takes us into the second era of Bendis' Avengers, X-Men, Avengers vs. X-Men, some more event books. And then moving down, oh, hang on, let me change my angle. We have the Bendis era X-Men, which I remember really liking at the time, but I really think I should reread it and confirm whether or not I like it or not, to be honest. Age of Ultron. Secret Warriors by Hickman, the first thing by Hickman I ever read, and quite possibly one of the best comics ever written in the history of man. Fantastic Four Omnis. I know the spines don't match, don't get me started. Avengers Omnis, Hickvengers rather, and then a few more collector's editions and so on, taking us pretty much up until the Hicksmen and Hoxpox reboot. Let me just step back for a second. Oh, what we have here are more books. That's the entirety of the Wheel of Time, all 14 books, and then a bunch of other things. Again, it's all prose, it's all words, no pictures, so I imagine no one here is too fussed. More consoles. And let's look over at what's on the right in just a second. Alright, so what we have here is a model of Cloud from Final Fantasy. This is from the Advent Children promotional materials. Then we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Every single movie, starting off with Iron Man, ending with Endgame. I don't count Spider-Man Far From Home as the end of Phase 3 because I don't like it at all. I've got all my Phase 4 movies here, including Spider-Man Far From Home. They're all in Blu-ray, they're all a bit of a mess. If I end up liking Phase 4 and Phase 5 and Phase 6, I may rebuy all these in a matching format so they look awesome, like the first 3 phases, but I don't know. My relationship with Marvel movies has definitely soured very substantially. More DVDs there. More DVDs there, and more DVDs there. It's not a film channel, so I'm not going to go into that in any detail. What we have here, this interstitial column, is my Court of Owls mask. And then we've got a mask from Overwatch. I just like having them here, they look kind of cool. Over here, we've got some artwork I've got on the walls. We'll go into that in just a second. But this is a new piece that I didn't have in my last video. This is Mary Jane by J. Scott Campbell. I absolutely love this. I got this as a birthday present. They only ever made 750 of these, I think. I mean, this maquette is just beautiful. Absolutely adore this. Absolutely adore this. Probably the most expensive model I have, and it's fantastic. Going down to below Mary Jane, we have Fables, all in one cube here. That's all 15 volumes. I think after I do Valiant till the last, I'm quite enjoying doing a weekly drop model for my channel, just to keep the movies and the videos ticking over, keep the algorithm engaged. So I suspect I'm probably going to do that. So I've got Fables 1 to 15 and Jack of Fables 1 just thrown in there randomly for no real good reason. Below that, I've got a bunch of other Marvel stuff, oversized hardcovers, a couple of custom omnibuses and a couple of legit omnibuses. And then below that, we've got Captain America. I gather they finally announced that they're going to reprint the 4th one of the Brubaker run. I'll then be able to pick that up. I'll then be able to finally read these. I've got some hardcovers there. Aaron's Thor, the remaining Fable stuff in hardcovers and trades. And there we have it. Below these, just some random stuff you don't need to worry about. And then here, I've got Transformers 1 to 8, the IDW Phase 1. And then I've got some of Phase 2. I got kind of carried away buying a lot of these, and then I kind of slowed down. Above this, we've got more hardcovers, we've got more custom Omnis, and we've got more legit Omnis like Gwenpool and Spider-Gwen. And above that, we have my Spider-Man. Starts off with Superior Spider-Man, going into Spider-Verse, and then a variety of other Spider and Spider-Gwen related things. Thinnest omnibus in the world on the right there. Okay, and then from that, I have to say, this is the back of the door. Civil War, it's a silk scroll. I'm hanging off some bamboo. I got this in my Civil War box set, and I just hang it on the back of the door because, again, loving that Mike Turner artwork. All right, let's have one final quick wander around the library. So, this is the far corner. Here are the video games. If I was to put my back here, you can see all the comics up here and all that. It feels like it's filled up a lot since the last time I did one of these videos. I feel like I have a lot more stuff. I'm now obviously double stacking here on my absolute shelf. And I have a lot less gaps, but there is still room to grow, as we can see. I still have some empty cubes. I still have some empty bits and pieces. I really enjoy the fact I've got a couple of new statues, and some of these statues are just amazing, so loving those. Got some extra masks, got just a load of extra comics and bits and pieces. And then as I walk around the internal demarcation, you can see the other side of the absolute shelf, some more artwork, and then here, I rearranged quite a lot of these shelves a little while ago, just 'cause I had to like jiggle around the heights and stuff to make sure they fit everything. I've done the same with my video game shelves recently. I just seem to be buying more and more games recently. But yeah, just can't help myself. And then we've got some DC. Cool. And of course we have this entire shelf underneath Batman, which is basically just full of random nonsense. Stuff I mean to read, stuff I borrow from other people. It's kind of like just where the general churn is. So I'm not too worried about lack of space. I feel like the collection's still got a lot of room to grow. All right. Well, I hope that was useful. If anyone's got any questions, if anyone's got anything in particular they want me to do a deeper dive on or do like a spotlight video on, just let me know. Yeah. Like I said, this is just as much for insurance purposes as anything else. But also, it's just nice to have a little bit of content. Nice to show people what I've got going on. I'm happy to chat about anything that you've seen here. I haven't gone through it in the exhaustive detail I did in the video I did a couple of years ago. So if you freeze frame something and you spot something and you're like, oh, I want to chat about this or that or the other, yeah, just tag me in the comments below, and totally happy to answer any questions or indeed to do any spotlight videos. All right, thanks for your patience on the shaky cam. Thanks for your patience on the slightly shoddy audio. Catch everyone next time.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.